Good afternoon and welcome. Glad you could join us today. So let's get started talking about setting up macOS 26.3 Tahoe on GoFor Lunch for February 24th, 2026. Brought to you by GoFor Technology. I'm Roger Harmon, your host, and we're here to make your technology work for you. Well, today is Forget Me Not Day. This is sponsored by the Disabled American Veterans, reminding us to remember those who fought for our freedom and were injured doing so. So think about those people on this day. I remember getting the little blue flowers. I think they call those forget-me-nots when you encounter a DAV volunteer. So it's finally time to go to macOS 26.3 Tahoe, and we're going to talk about the default settings, the things that you need to do to customize the experience to your liking. So first of all, there's the automatic defaults. Automatic updates may be turned on with the update to iOS 26.3. So the way we want to handle this is we want install security responses and system files toggled on because that protects our computer. So it allows Apple to patch critical vulnerabilities without a full reboot. So let's look at how that works. So we're going to go here to Settings, and we're going to go to General and Software Update, and then we're going to click on the little I by Automatic Updates. So you can see here that I have download new updates when available. That's okay. That's just downloading them. It'll just save you time when you do the actual install, but the install macOS updates is turned off. And the reason we do that is because sometimes the updates break things instead of fixing things. So we want to make sure that it's a stable update before we do that. So we're in control and we don't have the automatic update work. But we do want to install system data files and security updates. We do want to turn that on. So that's the way you want to set up for automatic updates. So network privacy. So it now defaults to blocking third-party apps from seeing other devices on your local network until you give it the OK. So you'll see a little pop-up that will say allow this device to see other devices on, or allow this app to see other devices on your network. So you have to think to yourself, is this app really need to see my other devices on the network? And of course, if the answer is no, then you would cancel that. So optimized battery charging, we've had that on iOS for a while, but now it's coming to your MacBook with an M4 or M5 chip, and it does the same capping of the charge to 80%, which, of course, will make your battery last longer. So some new setting, good old liquid glass. You may have heard about liquid glass. It's been quite the controversy. Some people love it, some people not so much, but you can tame that liquid glass when you know how, and the way you do it is you go to Appearance, and you also should be aware of the fact that your user interface adapts your wallpaper colors more aggressively than it used to. So if you're seeing strange things happening in your user interface because your wallpaper is kind of wild, you'll know the reason why. So let's go to Settings and go to Appearances. So that's right here, down from General. So we'll just go over the general appearance settings here. So here we have your light and dark or auto. So when you have auto set, it will in my case, it will go to dark after dark. And then here's your liquid glass setting right here. So clear is the liquid glass, and tinted is the tinted, so it doesn't have as much transparency. And there's just this little notice here that you cannot change the preferred look of liquid glass while reduced transparency is on, which makes sense. So try it out. If you don't like the clear, if it makes things harder to read, then you can turn on the tinted. Some other things while we're here is the theme. Now I have mine set to multicolor, but you can set your theme to any of these colors. And then you have the text highlight color. So mine is set to automatic, but again, you can choose any of these colors. Then we have the icon and widget style. So I have mine set to default, but you can choose dark, clear, which actually has no color at all, or tinted. Then we have the folder color, which again you can customize to any of these colors. And then we have sidebar icon size. So you can make that large, medium, or small, depending on your preference. That's easier to see when they're large, obviously. And then here's where the tinted window background with wallpaper color comes into play. Now here's another setting that you probably should make sure is set to always, and that's your scroll bar. If it's not set to always, it will only appear when you mouse over it, which can be confusing. So set your scroll bars to show always. So we have native window tiling. So in the past, you had to have a third-party app to control your window tiling. Well, that is no more. So when you drag a window to the edge of the screen, it's supposed to take up half of the screen, and then you drag another window to the other edge of the screen, and it will take up the other half. Now, in my testing, that doesn't always happen. But if you hold down the Option key while hovering over the green Maximize button in the top left-hand corner, you can see the snap layouts. So you can customize this by going to System Settings, Desktop and Dock, and click on Windows. So we're going to jump back in here into our settings. And we're going to go to Desktop and Dock, 2 more down. And then we're going to scroll down here to Windows. So you have several settings here. You can prefer tabs when opening documents. So I have it set to when I'm in full screen. You can have that as always or never. And then you, of course, always want to keep your changes when closing a document. You want that to be on so you don't forget to save anything that you did. And then you want to close windows when quitting an application. And then here's the drag windows left or right for the tiling to work. And I've had mixed results with that. And then you can also drag windows to the menu bar to go to full screen. And then you can hold down the Option key while dragging a window to tile. And you can also adjust whether the tile windows have a margin or not. I have this turned off so you don't have any little space. I don't need the little space in between. So let's see how that works. So we're going to go into our Finder. And let's look and see if we can make this work. So theoretically, if you drag a window to the left, it will tile. As you can see here, it's not happening. So let's look here. So when you mouse over the green button on the top left, you can see the different screen tiling options. So let's just move this window over here. We're going to mouse over the green, and then if we click here on the icon that shows the left, then the window does tile to the left. And then let's see, so we'll move this window over here. We'll go to the green and select the window tiling to the right, and that works. And as you can see here, there's no margin in between. You can also adjust when you get these two little opposing arrows, if you can see that. You can adjust the size of the window from there. But again, if you go back to here, click on the right tile, it goes back to the right tile. So some of the other options here is you can go to like a quadrant. So you can see that put everything in a quadrant. And we'll go back here. And let's see, we've got mail. So we want mail to be, let's see, we want that to be to the right. So there we go. There's back to the right. And we want to get Keynote back to full screen here. So we're going to go in there and go back here, and there, now it's in full screen. So to play around with that. Now the other thing that you can do, if we go back here to, let's get back to the Finder. Okay, I've been having a problem with my mouse today. Sticking, there we go. Okay, we're back in the Finder. So you can see these options, hopefully. But if you hold down the Option key while you're mousing over the green button, the options change. So now instead of half a screen, you've got quarter screen options on the top row. And then you have the opposite half screen, and then here's a half with 2 quarters, and you have the same quadrant here. And this one is centered window, so you can change. So just hitting the Option key changes those. I hope that's coming through. So play with that, and we can see. I can't get to my, okay, there we go. So let's see here. Welcome, Leslie. And Bob's late. He has to bring the cookies. And Leslie Ann has erasers for him. Okay, so it's all a little confusing, but you just need to play with it a little bit, and you can see how that works. So another new feature is reduce interruptions. It's a focus mode. So there's 2 ways to get to that. You can click on the little switches here in the menu bar just to the left of your date, and you can see the reduce interruptions right here. It gives you 2 choices for 1 hour or until this evening. So the idea of any of the focuses, of course, is to not be distracted while you're getting something done. You may have noticed that you get a driving focus sometimes when you're in the car, and you get a sleep focus if you set your your alarm at night so you don't get disturbed by beeps from your phone during the night. And of course, it's always a good idea to place your phone about a room away from where you are sleeping to keep down the radiation. So the other way to change the reduce operations is, or I don't know why I'm saying operations, the interruptions, is to go into your settings and go into focus, and then you can see here it shows that reduce interruptions is on, and your focus status is on here. So you can do it either place. Obviously, probably doing it from the menu bar is the quickest and easiest. As a bonus tip, you will notice here that instead of the three little dots up here in the upper left-hand corner of a window, we have this purple background with a screen image and a little person right there. Well, you click on that, and then you get the option to close the window. So that's something that might throw you. What happened to my three dots? So that's what happened. You have to click on this and then choose close window, and you'll also see your tiling options there also. So just a reminder that the Passwords app is now an app. So you can fill in your username and password automatically with autofill. It also works with Wi-Fi passwords and two-factor authentication. So if you don't have a dedicated password manager like 1Password, make sure you're using the Passwords app to both create secure and long passwords and to autofill them. So now we come to mail. So Apple has helped us out to optimize our mail. So they have the optimizing inbox. So they have introduced mail categorization, which puts things into smart folders, but we can turn that off if you like. So let's see how that works. So we're going to go into our Finder and go into Mail. So here we have Mail, and we're going to go to All Inboxes, and we have a search in here. So let's get rid of that search. Okay, so now it's in chronological order. But when you first get iOS 26, it will default to show mail categories. And it'll look something like this. So your choices are all mail, promotions, updates, transactions, and primary. So primary, so this is Apple trying to figure out what's primary and what is promotions, transactions, etc. So we're going to say OK. So unread message count. It says only unread message categorized as primary will appear in the mail icon. So you can have priority. So if you go up here to the three little dots, this is where you customize it. So if you want it to be back the way it used to be, which is chronological, you uncheck this and it goes back to chronological. But as you can see here, it still has priority because priority was checked. So I kind of like to have priority. It brings things that Apple at least thinks are priorities to my attention. But beyond that, it is chronological. And of course, if you turn off priority, then it will all be chronological. Edge Light is an amazing new feature from Apple. You have to have an Apple Silicon Mac, which would be a PowerBook probably. Or a MacBook Pro, a MacBook, I should say. From 2024 or later. And I don't know if this works on 24-inch iMac, so if somebody has tried that on a 24-inch iMac, let me know. But what it does is give you a light on your face when you don't have one. So when you're on a video call, it looks a lot like this. It gives this white circle, kind of circle light around the screen to throw a little bit of light onto your face. So if you need that, it's there. The way you turn it on is in FaceTime. You can see here edge light is selected. You have a brightness control here, a slider, and another slider here for hue. And then you can turn it on automatically or manually. So that is edge light. So something to be aware of with the Spotlight search is that it will find your clipboard contents. So it does that by default. And if you regularly copy or paste any sensitive data like passwords, then you need to probably tighten that up. The way you do that is you go to System Settings and Spotlight, and then you would change your clipboard history expiration to 1 minute or toggle it off completely. So let's go back to our System Settings and show you how that works. So we're going to move this here. So we want to go to, we're just going to go to Spotlight, which is down further here. And then we're going to scroll all the way down to Results from System. And then you can see down below there is Results from Clipboard. So if you want your clipboard to be found in Spotlight Search, you can have that turned on. And this is where your clipboard history is adjusted. So the choices are 7 days, 8 hours, 30 minutes, or you can, well, you can click it off right here. So I think when you click it off, it may be 1 minute, but I'm not sure about that. So it should have had a 1 minute choice here, but it doesn't. So that is a little documentation issue. So just a heads up here that 26.3 is the final stop for Intel Macs. In other words, when you get the next operating system, which will be 27, which would be in about a year from now, your Intel Mac will not be able to be updated. So you have plenty of time to consider what you want to do. If you're happy with your Intel Mac, then you don't have to do anything. But if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in operating system features, then you would need to upgrade to a Mac with Apple Silicon, which would be an M1 through M5, maybe even M6 next year. So there is no 27-inch iMac anymore. So your choices would be a 24-inch Mac, iMac, or a Mac Mini with a third-party screen or even an Apple screen. So you could have a 27-inch or even a 32-inch or even a 34-inch. So that is something to be thinking about. No rush. So type Intel in the comments if you are still using an Intel Mac, which would be probably 2019 or earlier. So if you haven't already, type any questions or comments. And if you'd be so kind as to give me a thumbs up, I would appreciate it. And do me a favor, share the Gopher Gazette, which comes to you every Monday morning about 7 o'clock, with anybody you know that uses Apple devices. So let's see what we have here in the comments. And let's see. Let me find, okay. All right, let's see here what. Alice says, anyone else here have an Apple Watch? Yesterday the modular face wouldn't show weather at all, and then on the settings it won't show it on the app in the iPhone. Okay, well, let's see here. I have an Apple Watch, so let's see if I can find a weather typeface here as I'm swiping. Nothing is happening. So that's interesting. There we go. Okay, there's another watch face. And I'm looking for weather. So yeah, I've got a weather watch face there. You can see it's got the temperature, the 5-day forecast. So I don't know, Alice. Just have to keep playing with it. And if you can't find it, I would get a hold of Apple. Okay, Chris says he didn't know about the Option key plus the green button. So good. Glad we gave you something. And Leslie Ann says, radiation? Am I nuking myself every night? Well, this is probably a controversial topic, but to err on the side of safety, it is my opinion that, there's experts on both sides of whether it is damaging to your brain to have your iPhone next to you all night or not. So I have my iPhone next to me all day, so I figure at night I'm just going to put it in a room away from me, and hopefully that will be helpful. So nobody knows for sure whether it's a problem or not. And Chris says, can we warm up the edge light if we look too pale? Yeah, that's what the hue control does, Chris. So you can control the hue so it will give you a little warmer look than just a washed out look. And I don't believe the edge light is on the iPhone. So sorry about that. Maybe next year. And Alice said no, she didn't think so either. And she's on the iPhone 15. And Alice says the Mac Mini is a good option. I totally agree. That's what I'm using. And Leslie, yeah, yeah, you definitely have more cords with a Mac Mini. So cable management is of utmost importance. And Alice says, thank you. If I have any more questions, I will email you also. Well, thank you, Alice. That just goes into my closing of, if you have any other questions, you can email me or you can call me. That information will be coming up right now. So have a great week. We'll see you next Tuesday at high noon for another Go for Lunch. Take care.